And we are back to the fourth segment of the GSMC Basketball Podcast, presented by the GSMC Sports Network. And in this fourth section, we are going to be talking about Joel Embiid's letter that he sent to the French president of basketball in 2021. Now, this letter was posted by, it was leaked, and it was posted by sideline sources. So this may or may not. This is a very well trusted source. So it most likely has happened, even though nobody has been reporting that recently. I'm just going to go ahead and check just to make sure that nobody has. Let me just see. Let's Google this. Yep. And Bleacher Report actually confirmed this 4 hours ago. So that's RMC Sport obtained the copy of it as well. So this definitely did happen. So just wanted to make sure before I said it. So the letter said, quote, "After discussion with the French Basketball Federation, my choice has now been made. I wish to take steps to obtain French naturalization and thus be able to be selected with the Blues. I therefore do not wish to play for any other national team. I have never worn the colors of any national team. It would be an immense honor for me to join this French team to participate in the next major international competitions. First and foremost, the 2024 Olympic and Paralympic Games." This was the letter that Joel Embiid wrote This was the letter that he wrote to President Emmanuel Macron. He's the president of French basketball. And this is really... Oh, there's a comment. Let me just go ahead and look at it. Low to kid, you're doing a great job, champ. Thanks. Now, back to the letter. The president of basketball, he most definitely must feel stabbed in the back after reading this letter. I mean, I didn't realize, why the French president of basketball was so upset at Joel Embiid for choosing to play for Team USA. But now, since I read this, I can see why he's so upset, because he feels, stabbed in the back. This is, to compare it to, the NBA, this is literally Kevin Durant signing with the Golden State Warriors. This is almost, not entirely verbatim, but this is what it feels like for the president of French basketball, because he said that he wanted to be a part of the team. Again, he wanted to be a part of the team and represent no other nation, yet here he goes representing Team USA, simply because the Team USA roster is most of the time, 9 times out of 10, much better, especially when they send the best players and they don't send the second best players coming up. They're usually much better than international players. And in these international tournaments, it's no secret that that basketball is America's sport to lose in the Olympics. And Joel Embiid picking Team USA to be a part of, it's almost as if he's taking the easy way out, which is seen as soft, which doesn't help his reputation of being a flopper in the NBA, since a lot of people genuinely think that Joel Embiid is rather soft. So this doesn't really help the accusations for that. But regardless, this letter was written in French, by the way, so I just translated it. But it's really I don't know if this is a weak move or if this is just because I don't know if me saying that this is a weak move makes me a hater, if that makes sense. Because I don't like Joel Embiid, but I also don't like to disrespect any of these players that put their heart and soul in the game. But I will say that if you say that you're going to be a part of a team and an organization, own up to it. And he obviously, he wrote this letter, maybe I understand circumstances change, and obviously I'm going to defend Joel Embiid being a part of Team USA because USA, USA. But regardless, like, I genuinely think that the move is rather weak, especially when we see Victor Wembanyama deciding to, like, because he hasn't declared, he's not on Team USA, and he's most likely going to play for the French international team as well. And it's really annoying for French basketball because they were hoping to put, they wanted a death lineup of having Rudy Gobert at the 5, Victor Wembanyama at the small forward, and Joel Embiid at the power forward. So that way they could have a ridiculously tall lineup with, like, it would be so broken, honestly. Like, just thinking about it is just like, ew, what kind of toxic game is this? Because Victor at the 7'4" is a cheat code. Like, there's literally no other way to describe it other than a cheat code, because he's just that much taller than everyone. But I digress. So I think this is like a relatively weak move for any kind of athlete, because, like, I didn't think it was that weak of a move before I found out about this letter. I thought, like, you know, if you don't make a commitment to any national team and you have a citizenship for both, it's fair game. But, like, obviously he was still going to face backlash for doing that, simply because, again, it's still the easy way out. But when you have citizenship in both, even though you aren't really born in the country, like, you still have the option. Now, is it a little bit weak? They had the same problem with Paolo Banchero as well, how the Italian team was a little bit mad how he decided to join Team USA instead of sticking with their team. And obviously, like, there's mixed opinions there. But again, if you have citizenship in both and haven't claimed, like, and haven't physically said that you are going to be a part of the organization, I think it's fair game. But now reading this letter, Joel Embiid said in paper that he wanted to play for the French team, and now here he goes switching up. And so I think that move is weak. The fact that he lied, not so much the fact that he decided to join another team. It's the lying part of it that I think is a weak move. Yeah, that's a great way to explain it, because if he didn't lie, I wouldn't have a problem with it. But, like, you say that you want to play in the 2024 Olympics, and the second a better opportunity comes for you, you take it. And, like, I understand it's like, don't hate the player, hate the game. That's just what you do. You see good opportunities and you're supposed to take them. But there's also, like, I feel a lack of loyalty that's being involved. And that, like, that might play into effect, like, with, like, political reasons, like, such as nationalism, but I'm not going to get into that. I'm going to mainly talk about, like, the bond and, like, the connection that, like, someone has to their country, because it is an honor to represent exactly where you're from in the Olympics. And since Joel Embiid is an international player and isn't from here, despite having his citizenship, it's seen as like a little bit traitorous, if that makes sense, because he's just abandoning, like, his French roots in a sense, in a, like, you know, figurative sense, and playing for Team USA. And I understand both sides, but again, like, when I'm on the side of, if he has the citizenship, then he's good to go. Obviously, like, that might be entailed with some bias since, you know, USA, but I really don't know, because I really don't know if I'd feel the same way if some other team, like, let's say some player decides to go, some player that for like the Dominican Olympic team or like the American Olympic team, doesn't really matter which one, they decide to go play for a different team. Depending on the reason why, I'm not really going to be as upset at them. Now, if the athlete lies, then I'm going to be upset about him, because I genuinely do not like it when players and athletes do not keep their word. I genuinely do not. And especially when it's something as little as picking a team, because, like, again, he said he was going to do it. He didn't decide to do it. and it's just very, very, it's very weak. I think it's weak. But that's going to be a shorter segment, and there's really not much that can be, like, that needs to be talked about with this anymore, because, like, we see the letter, the roster has already been confirmed, and unfortunately, we'll see, like, how Victor plays on the French team, because now that he has legitimate experience in the NBA and how these players play, I'm not entirely sure if that'll give him all the advantage that he needs. But then again, I don't know if there's really anyone on Team USA that's able to guard someone that's 7'4". Oh my gosh, if Bam is guarding him, that is going to be a nightmare. That is genuinely going to be a nightmare if Bam has to guard Victor Wembanyama for even 2 seconds. And I'm not saying that because Bam is a bad defender. I'm saying that because of the height difference. Because Bam is one of those undersized centers compared with Joel Embiid and Anthony Davis. And even then, I don't think Anthony Davis is going to be able to hold Victor Wembanyama that well. Especially if he takes him out to the perimeter. Because I guess I do have more to say. These athletes, when they're on Olympic teams, they might not really play well in the NBA, but when they're on Olympic teams, they play a lot better. They are much more valuable because the system that they run is most likely run through these players who are used to it. And they're also, not to mention, some of these international players are used to playing with these guys since they were like 14 years old. Like, it was the reason why Argentina was so feared back in the day with Manu Ginobili, and why the French were also rather feared because of Tony Parker and all of these other players who have played with a club or an international team since they were children or like teenagers, if you want to say. And that's really, like, who knows what kind of role the French team is going to give Victor Wembanyama on Team France. And it might even make him better, like the system that they run. If they run the entire system through him and he feels a lot more confident playing with players that he's been playing with since he was a teenager, then that could be a serious, serious problem going into a matchup against them. Because again, he's already difficult to guard as it is with his height. And already being unable to contest him because of his height, it's going to be tough to stop him if he can run the offense really well, and if the coaching scheme and everything plays into effect. And I understand, like, you know, when Team USA matched up against, like, the under-18 team of USA matched up against the under-18 team of France, and Chet played against Victor Wembanyama, Chet ended up winning. But I think Victor Wembanyama has progressed a lot faster and a lot better than Chet Holmgren has. So they might still be able to win. They might not. Who knows? But that is all I want to say for this last segment. And with that, we are out of time. So thank you so much for tuning in to the GSMC Basketball Podcast presented by the GSMC Sports Network. Your support means a lot to us, so please remember to subscribe to the show and leave a positive review. It really does make a difference. We also invite you to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram for more content and updates. And I also like to remind you to please use the link in the description to get your comments recognized, or the link displayed below the ticker on every single show segment. That is gsmcpodcast.net. Really helps the show, makes the show much more interactive between myself and you guys. Once again, the link is gsmcpodcast.net. And that is going to be the end of our show. Thank you all once again. I am your host, Nelson, and as always, take care.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day. Yeah, I'm tired of shit, and the coffee ain't hit yet, damn, ain't that great.